It's not deliberate for us to deliberate on this. I'm not going to be talking until the show starts because I'm tired of all those video clips that you cut that are inappropriate. Nothing, bro. Welcome back to Zambia. What a day. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. Today feels like a Monday. Oh my goodness, it's so loud. Why? Why did it have to be so loud? All right. I don't get it. I mean, I don't know. The guy acts crazy sometimes. It's just insane. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. Coming up on the podcast, let's quickly take a look at what's making news. Alternative power. Oh my goodness, I'm so tired of hearing about this. A Chinese couple was fined 100,000 kwacha each. You'll be so surprised why they were charged this amount of money. Teachers nabbed over GRZ fertilizer theft. My goodness. But let's start. Let's get into it. Amid the ongoing load shedding in the country, Zambians are being urged to turn to alternative power sources such as solar and generators. However, some Zambians and businesses that depend on energy are finding it difficult to turn to alternative sources due to the huge cost. Kanchibi, a member of parliament, Sunday Chanda, is advising government to introduce a pay-as-you-go kind of model, which will be designated or designed for poor households with solar energy systems that they can pay over time. Let's take a look at this.
As Zambia continues with the challenges of insufficient electricity, especially during prolonged droughts that impact hydroelectric power generation, it has become increasingly urgent for the nation to diversify its energy mix. Solar energy presents a viable and sustainable solution for the country. However, this does not come cheap. What are bakery business owners saying?
We cannot afford that. Why? Because it is too costly again. Whatever the genset or generator or let's say last time I got the cost for this solar panels. So they giving me quotation for $40,000. So how can I invest $40,000?
We are still new in business. We are 4 months 4 months old. And then we cannot afford to get a solar panel at the moment. So if the government can empower us so that we can be paying back bit by bit, well and good.
These concerns are similar to those who are dealing in butchery business.
How can we manage? You get your all capital and divert it into buying a genset. Are you going to manage to run? The answer is no. So what do? We the very money that they would want us to put in buying a genset. Solar, it's not 100% that you get a solar panel to run the freezers. You need 45,000. Where are we going to get that money?
Kanchibi, a member of parliament, Sunday Chanda, has some advice for the government if this is to be realized.
Call by government in general, is a welcome call. But it's a call that is only relevant to the haves. It's not a call that is relevant to those who do not have the have-nots. And you realize that a majority of our citizens do not have the means to migrate to solar energy. They do not have the means. We have a majority of our citizens barely surviving on 1,500 kwacha per month. And when you look at the solar energies as we have them on the market, the lowest would fetch you between 12,000 and 20,000 kwacha.
He says a private member's motion will be moved in Parliament.
Let government innovatively look at the financing models. One of the models is a pay-as-you-go model. The second one is how to integrate this with a social cash transfer program. And allow me to say that against the statement we've issued under our position as the people of Kanchibia on this matter, we will be moving a motion, a private member's motion in Parliament, to the effect that government must look at financing models for the poorest of our people. And we are hoping that the government and colleagues, both on the left and the right, will be supportive of this motion.
While the government has made strides towards improving access to electricity, over 60% of Zambia's population remains off the grid, with access rates in rural areas as low as 4.4% for those without reliable electricity. Victoria Kayeye Yambani, Diamond News.
You know, I hear this a lot, this whole conversation on alternative energy, right? And everybody's saying alternative energy, consider alternative energy, consider alternative. But with which money? With which money? Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how expensive it is. And it doesn't get any cheaper. With the demand now very high, the principles are very easy. Basic supply and demand principle is going to come into effect. And when the basic principle of supply and demand comes into effect, things are going to get expensive because a lot of people are trying to procure them. And by a lot of people, I mean like a very small portion of the Zambian population, because you will be so surprised. A lot of Zambians have just adapted to the darkness. And, that's the way of life, how people in rural parts of the country live. If power is there, power is there. If power is not there, power is not there. And I'll tell you one thing here about the telecoms, for example. The telecoms have decided that, some parts of the country which are not top priority and they don't bring the most amount of money, they've just said they're going to have network when there's power. And for some of those that are high priority in urban areas, they are looking for alternative sources of energy. But these telecommunication companies are expected to spend about 5 million kwacha per day on alternative sources of energy. And look, I think there's two ways to look at it. One of the ways is that I sympathize with the telecoms, but I also kind of think that it's a bit ridiculous and a bit slow, because that's one of the businesses that doesn't really need to be connected to the grid, because those towers are usually isolated and they can be on solar from inception. But I sympathize with the telecoms also, because I learned that one of the telecoms attempted to do this in Livingston. By this I mean putting up solar and all of those things, and the solar panels and the batteries and the inverters were stolen within 4 days of installation. And I mean, it just makes sense that they were going to be stolen, because you've got a security guard who gets paid a low amount of money, and then he's sitting on a huge chunk of money, will probably connive and all those things. And it's unfortunate because it affects the larger population, but that's just how thieves are. They're very destructive and are not very useful to society. They're not even good for any ecosystem, really. So that's the unfortunate thing, and I guess that's the reality. Now, you can imagine telecoms make a lot of money. They make a lot of money, and if they're among the people that think it is super expensive to find alternative sources of energy, where do you place a random Jonah, to buy alternative sources of energy for over 100K? And even at this point, the alternative sources of energy that we're buying in our homes is really just to light things up. Honestly, it's just to light things up. And now we're going to have to be getting these gas stoves. I don't know if there's a gas fridge. I mean, no, there isn't. Solar fridge.
I think it's there.
What is a solar fridge?
Like a fridge, but it has like a solar panel or something.
So then just get a solar panel for the whole house.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the whole house. Solar panels for the whole house. So it's a huge cost. It's expensive. It's really expensive. And I mean, a lot of us thought we were clever. It wasn't even an alternative source of energy to buy the inverters and lithium batteries, because it was just Zesco charging those things. Now the power doesn't, people are going days without the electricity. Insane. A Chinese couple has been convicted after pleading guilty to charges related to the smuggling of 29.9 kilograms of gold and $200,000 in cash. The couple was arrested during a regional crackdown on transnational organized crime conducted by the Zambian Police Service and other Southern African Development Community member states from the 14th to the 16th of August 2024. So they were charged with conveying property suspected of being stolen under Section 319 of the laws of Zambia. The court has sentenced each to a fine of 100,000 kwacha or 9 months simple imprisonment in default. Let's take a look at this.
Two Chinese nationals have been convicted in Lusaka after pleading guilty to the charges of smuggling nearly 30 kilograms of gold and 200,000 United States dollars in cash. The duo was arrested during Operation Kutra carried out by the Zambia Police Service and other SADC member states. In this matter, Zhao Shansong, age 58, and Zhao Yangjing, age 46, were charged with conveying property suspected of being stolen after the contraband was discovered hidden in their vehicle during a police search in Lusaka. The couple, both residents of Harare, initially denied knowledge of the items, claiming the vehicle had been recently purchased. When the matter came up before Magistrate Davis Chimwili, both accused pleaded guilty to the charges. In mitigation, the defense emphasized that the couple were first-time offenders and had shown remorse by cooperating with the court. Meanwhile, defense lawyer Mwanza Chambaila of Ituna Partners says justice has been served and they are satisfied with the outcome.
Of course, we are satisfied with the outcome. We believe that justice has been served in this particular case, and of course our clients have been fined 100,000 kwacha each, which they have since paid. And what the indication is that they are now free to go home, so we are satisfied.
The court sentenced the pair to a fine of 100,000 kwacha each or 9 months of simple imprisonment if the fine is not paid. The court also ordered the forfeiture of gold, cash and the vehicle to the state. Nicole Namwinga for Damo News.
They carried a lot of money. $200,000 and then 29.9 kgs of gold. And they had an expensive ride. It was like $60,000 of a ride. And so they basically have to pay this fine, and this property will have to be taken by the state, unfortunately for them. Let's move on. Police in Southern Province have arrested 4 teachers for stealing government-subsidized fertilizer meant for vulnerable communities in Iteji District. Provincial Division Commanding Officer Oxensho Daka has identified the suspects as Precious Mungala and Maluma Chimunya. Both of them are 42 years of age, and they're from Iteji Secondary Boarding School. And others, Nichiwu Frank, a 45-year-old head teacher at Vatunga Primary School, and 50-year-old Albert Mwinga, an officer from the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock. 39 by 50 kilogram bags of fertilizer were found in their homes after police searched, leading to the arrest of the suspect. Oh, man, you know what? This is like very, very destructive, right? People are such horrible creatures that this is intended for vulnerable people. You've got a job, and part of that is for you to help safeguarding the lives of other people. But, the selfish nature of human beings, they decide to take this for themselves. And, it's always a good story when such things come to light, that when people are found when they do such things. But there's a lot more people that have committed such crimes, and they're probably walking the street free and going scot-free for committing such crimes. A drainage system at Pamozi Cooperative Market in Kanyama has become a danger to the public. A contractor has failed to put back the drainage covers to ease the crossing for the public. A trader, Lutangu Munalula, says it has been 2 months since the works were abandoned, becoming open for the indiscriminate disposal of waste. Let's take a look at this.
The drainage system is important on any given road. This is to allow the smooth flow of water, more especially during the rain season. In Kanyama, a contractor has abandoned works of clearing the drains without putting back the covers. This state of affairs has upset the marketeers at Pamosi Cooperative Market. The residents are also concerned about the garbage being dumped in the drainage.
The challenge that we have is that for 2 months now, this drainage was properly contracted by Chinese with the concrete sleepers on top. But this contractor, we don't know whether it's contracted by the council or is contracted by CDF or the councillor, we don't know. He has come to open up the drainage, he has left it, this is now 2 months. So now we are wondering what is happening because we are just opposite the hospital. People are falling in the drainage. People now, this has become now a dumping site from the compounds. They are dumping things in here. So how many times is he going to be paid? Because this drainage is getting full again, as you can see. It's getting full. So our request to whoever contracted this person is that they should come and they put these concrete sleepers properly.
We, the community in this compound, we are not okay because we are throwing in litter anyhow. Please, can we solve this throwing of litter so that the drainage that they are cleaning should remain cleaned? Not that they clean tomorrow, the rubbish is in there. So how can water go around? So the drainage should be taken care of. And secondly, the way they're taking these drainages, they open up, they don't close them up. It's dangerous because at the end, we have people who are not all that fit can fall into these drainages. And when one falls into this drainage, he would either die or injure himself.
This has been brought to the attention of the Lusaka City Council.
It has come to our attention that the contractor that was engaged to do the drainage along the Pamosi Market in Kanyama constituents has left part of the drainage uncovered, and so residents are complaining that some people have actually taken advantage and are dumping garbage in this particular drainage. And so we are following up these complaints from residents and ensure that we engage the contractor so that I can go back on site and ensure that the drainage is covered up. When local contractors are given a contract to do certain works, we expect them to exhibit quality work because it will not be easier for us giving them a contract again next time.
If the covers are left unattended to, there may be some casualties, and while the rain season is around the corner, disease outbreak will be unavoidable with the garbage in the drains. Victoria Kayeye Yambani, Diamond News.
So one of the things, that you can think of right now is why we've got such a horrible culture when it comes to contractors and how they just don't finish the work. Like, it's so telling about the type of people we are. We have so many contractors who get contracted to do a lot of work and they just don't do the work. They just don't do the work. It's a huge lack of accountability, because I think to myself, how do you go and do such a thing to the government? Because I think that the government is such a huge machine that should be able to detect such anomalies. And yet it's the most susceptible to this kind of chaos. And it's very normal for people to just be given huge sums of money, be contracted. And the reason why all of this happens is because a lot of times some of these people are not even professionals at doing this work. They're tenderpreneurs. And that's the problem with tenderpreneurs, because they're looking for a quick buck. They are not capable, they are not competent to complete the work, but because they've heard that there's a gig that could potentially earn them a quick buck, they are going to go for it, but they don't have the competence to complete the work. And the results are always very consistent. And sometimes it's very defeating that when such things happen, you kind of think that it's impossible to do anything right in our society, because there's always someone that is undoing the work that is being done by others. So the efforts are being put in place to ensure that there's a proper drainage system that supports livelihood and that supports acceptable living standards in these communities. But there's someone who is undoing those efforts, and that's the person that's getting the money. The Ministry of Education has released the GCE Grade 9 examination results, marking a historic milestone as the results were processed within a month after the examination, with a reduction in the number of absenteeism, in the rate of absenteeism, as compared to last year. However, Education Minister Douglas Yagalima has expressed concern over the low pass rate in Christian religious education. He says, despite Zambia being a Christian nation, more students passed French than Christian religious education, raising concerns about the country's values and norms. Mr. Sagalima has since urged the directors of the ministry to take note of the trend and work towards improving the pass rate in RE.
Zambia has made strides in improving its education sector and service delivery, as evident in the announced Junior Grade 9 external examination results and GCE. However, concerns have been raised over the low pass rate in Christian religious education, a subject considered crucial in a Christian nation like Zambia.
Analysis of performance by subject revealed that the highest mean score was recorded in French at 81.4%, while the lowest was recorded in Christian religious education 2024 at 15.7%, and the Christian nation. That is where we derive the values for our country. And so we must up the scale on those who teach religious education. The president goes to parliament to go and talk about values, ethics, responsibility. I know we are revising the curriculum. You are here in Zambia, where we put all those things. But even without the curriculum having been reviewed, we have got religious education, which must be taught in earnest. You cannot record the lowest levels in religious education and then you call yourself a teaching country. Something wrong somewhere. Yeah. Yes.
I hear you and I acknowledge efforts will be made to
our teachers, huh?
We'll pick it up.
We want to create a nation where when you do your mathematics, science and whatever, you also got values for your country.
Despite the concerns, the Ministry of Education attributes this year's achievements to improved working conditions and remuneration for examiners and markers, resulting in faster processing of results.
The 2024 absenteeism rate reduced by 0.79% from 6.41% in 2023. The 2024 GCE examination results. A total of 149,020 candidates entered for the 2024 General Certificate of Education examination, showing an increase by 1.55% from 147,629 who registered for the same examination in 2023.
Candidates can now access their results through the SMS notification system or access the statement of results online via the Examination Council of Zambia ECZ portal. Peter Zunda Jr. for Diamond News, Lusaka.
Okay. I think that the minister is outraged at the wrong thing. And, it's just like, honestly speaking, we are so obsessed with this religious stuff. I really feel like people, I'm a Christian myself, but I feel like people must be given the option to want to indulge and not. And it shouldn't be such a big deal. And maybe it should be really telling of what people are thinking. We spend so much time and priorities on coaching people's religion than we do on more productive things. That's why we had a whole ministry focused on religion in the country. More like Christian affairs, actually. And those things are not productive, guys. I think that religion and Christianity itself should be an individual decision. We should not be fighting so hard to enforce it like it's a legal demand for people. Morality is subjective. Morality is subjective in the context that what may be considered immoral by you may not be considered immoral by me. The only things that we should meet at a table and discuss in the context of morality are things that will ultimately be illegal. If me stealing will get me into jail, then you and I should have a conversation about that. Because, the reason why I say morality is subjective is, imagine this. A man is at his side chick's house. He is a married man and is at his side chick's house, and she brings him, he's been spending the weekend there. She brings him food and she serves him different types of dishes, and she asks, but why are you not eating the pork? He says, no, it's a sin. Like, that's where you draw the line. That's where you draw the line, at eating the pork. But you are literally with your side chick for the weekend, fornicating, adultery, and all those things. And that's why I say morality is subjective. Because it's not cast in stone. It's not legally binding. And it's not every one of the 20 million people, whatever number we are, that are in Zambia, that are Christians. There's a decent population of people that are not Christians, that are Christian, passive Christians. And if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. But to spend so much energy, because I've always thought that some of the most worthless debates you will ever get into are religious debates, because two people with opposing religious views will sit and argue for hours on end and then leave the table each with their own beliefs. And it would have just been a waste of time. That's why I don't like sharing my religious opinion, because you would just share yours and I'll share mine again, and then you share yours and I'll share mine, and then we're just having a back and forth of religious debate that doesn't end. So I think we should find better things to do. Like finding a solution to this load shedding problem. The reason why we probably have this load shedding problem is because, we think that it's got something to do with just praying. Anyway, I'm done. I'm done. I'm kind of done with this. But thank you so much for tuning in. Zambia, what a day. See you tomorrow. Be kind to one another. That's kind of Ellen DeGeneres.